Alrighty, hello and welcome. Sorry for the delayed start. Somebody pulled the fire alarm in my building, so you're stuck with this. Um, if you're in the chat and I see people there, please comment to make sure that everything is running. Um, so my apologies on being a little bit late. Um, Yeah, I think the place to start is with the news of the day, which is that according to Mr. Ornstein, Mark Cucurella, Mark Cucurella, Mark Cucurella joins Real Madrid for a package that is 55 million euros fixed and 5 million euros in variable costs. What does that mean? What does that mean? Um, okay. My initial thoughts are kind of in two different directions, okay? One, generally it's bad to sell starters. Like unless you're selling for a big profit or there's a pretty clear reason to move on, or I don't know, take your pick. Generally don't want to sell starters. However, I think there's a couple things to be cognizant of. One, if we go to yield wages on FBref, just to have a look see at FBref, Mark Cucurella was one of the very much highest earners at Chelsea. This is from last season. He got a extension during that season. Well, he got a new contract in that season with a raise. I would bet he was making north of £200,000 a week this season. That's a lot of money for a left back, man. And it's a lot of money for a left back who doesn't have, I don't know, a special skill. Like, there's a lot of people on Twitter talking about Cucurella and like, oh, he's a guy who plays every week. He's a starter, and you're selling him for not even a profit. Like, what are you doing? City or Arsenal would never do this. And I think from, I don't know. We'll talk about it. So on one hand, huge amount of money that he was on. 2 years left on his contract. Now, one of the things that is unclear is whether he has 2 years left or 3 years left. He signed a new contract at the beginning of the season. Fabrizio Romano reported that there was no extra years. It was just a raise. The reporting from the Chelsea people is that it was an option year. And Transfer Market says a year was added. Any and all of those could be possible to me. I would bet the option year is the most likely. But regardless, you have a player who is 28 in a month, who makes a ton of money for you, who is just good, right? Like, even the people who like Cucurella the most, he is outside of the top tier of legit left backs in the world. Like, he is not Nuno Mendes. He is not Alphonso Davies. He's good. He's available. He plays a lot. He's good. Those things are valuable. He's good. But I think when you look at it and you say, okay, this is a guy who is about to turn 28, who has played more than 300 senior 90s, right? 320 senior 90s plus 30, plus what? 25 national teams. So like 350 games. He's 28. He has finally, where did we go? Injury history. He had two muscle injuries last year for a combined 5 games. He had ankle surgery the year before that, plus a muscle injury. When you put all of those together, I think you look at this and say, like, okay, this is a player we were okay with moving this summer, given the contract, given the age, given the contract length, given all of those things. Like, this is a guy who is unlikely to be a part of the core of the next Chelsea team. Even if you keep him, right? Even if you say like, oh, he is good now, you don't want to move on from good players now, like, which is a fine concern, and we're going to talk about this. Um he's very unlikely to be a part of the next Chelsea team that is like actually good. Like, if we're looking at a team that is really good in 3 years, it's not likely he's a player in it. You add in, like, he clearly wanted to go. He down tools under Rosenior. His form is, like, if we're being honest, fairly up and down. Like, he has the one season at Brighton where he was quite good, and then he has a season at Chelsea of being bad. He has a season at Chelsea where he was like okay. He has a season at Chelsea of being good, and then he has a season at Chelsea of being okay again. So when you look over the last 4 seasons, 5 seasons, he's got 2 good seasons, 2 okay seasons, and 1 bad season. Like, I don't know, I'm pretty fine with moving that player on. And so when you look at the finances of the deal, you say, okay, Chelsea paid 65 million euros. That was like it was like a 60 million base and 5 million in add-ons, some of which he achieved. And then you say Chelsea are selling him for 55 plus 5. And so what did you get? You got all of Cucurella's 24, 25, 26, 27 seasons. So all of his prime, right? As a fullback, those are the prime years now, is 24 to 28. You got all of his prime. You are not giving him the fat extension, because if you signed him, if you kept him this summer, you are almost certainly giving him an extension, or you're activating that option, which means, again, you're having him till he's 31 on huge wages. I think you can get 90% of Cucurella for half the price. For half the price. Gum Memory Project says the transfer market fee is just his base fee. Transfer market is quite good about adding the achieved add-ons in. Like, if you look at, to give you an example, like, Caicedo's fee from IDV to Brighton is 28 million. They didn't pay 28 million. They paid 4 plus a percentage of profit on the next sale, but the Chelsea sale is already reflected into that. So it's there already. So I think when you look at this Cucurella deal and you say, okay, you paid 65 million euros in 2022. He signed for an initial 6-year contract. It is now 2026, so you have moved through 4 years of that 6. So there's 25 million euros left. You have sold him for 55 million euros. You've made a 30 million euro profit, book profit, right? That's fine. Like, I'm totally okay with that movement. So I think when you look at kind of the big picture of the squad, of like the things we talked about, I'm fine with it, right? Like, I am okay with that. This was the director Kieran sheet from a long time ago, and Cucurella wasn't on here, but we talked at length about, like, you do it if there's a move, right? So I don't know. Now, what does this mean for Chelsea, which is probably the longer and more fun conversation? I think this is maybe a I think this is maybe a back three indicator, but not a strong one. Um, and also, just to like put a bow on the Cucurella going out thing, like, Addict Run here says, easy decision, to be honest. We had Cucurella at his prime years. He isn't near to be elite. His contract's coming to an end. £50 million, very good price. find replacement and move on. I think the like perfect example is that if Cucurella had ascended to a better level, right? Like if he had gone like okay first season, good second season, very good third season, or like whatever, good fourth season, and you're like, yeah, this guy is legit one of the best left backs in the world. We're gonna keep him to 31. Then you're okay with it, right? Like you want to keep that player. Um, the same way, like you look at Reece James, right? Like Reece James is very good, is approaching his kind of late 20s now. He's not there all the way, but like approaching his late 20s, and now you're like, yeah, well, but he's good enough, we'll just keep him. It's fine. I don't mind that. So I think it's a totally fine decision to sell. Now, the more interesting part of this conversation to me is like, okay, what does this portend for the squad going forward? Um, and I think this is probably somewhat of a back three indicator, but not a super strong one. Spy Fizzy HD says MH and CFC Paris both said Shabby going with a back three. And I think moving on from Cucurella, who like probably isn't an outside center back in a three in the Premier League. Like it's just not, I think, a role that works for him. He's also definitely not a wing back. Um, like I think the best version of Cucurella is like the inside thing, where he's a defensive midfielder, he's a 10 crashing the box, like all of those things. I think that's the best version of him. I don't think that's super useful, but I think it kind of is what it is. I think if you are like, yeah, we're going to play a back three, moving Cucurella and getting a new left wing back into the team is objectively a decision you had to make. Now, the question is like, who is that player? Is that player a left center back? Because I think if you look at the mold of Jorel Hato is left back, left center back. He's not left back, left wing back. And so if it's a back three, like Hato is going to play the outside of the three. That's the spot I expect he will be in. The question is like, who plays left wing back? At Leverkusen, Shabby, like if we go look at like Leverkusen, and we go Bundesliga men, and we go last season, and I go to like, let's just go look at some of the games that you played, Mr. Alonso. So like, oh, that's a bad one because it's a back four. Let me find a back three one. Like, you have Grimaldo. Grimaldo is legit a left back, at left wing back who drifts inside. You have Frimpong, who is like the winger on the other side. I think that again, Alonso has been very flexible with how he gets to his shapes and with the players and teams he has. I think when you look at Chelsea, the question is like, do you have a real left back to play there? Or do you play a winger there? I think when you look at Chelsea's squad, I think it's very easy to talk yourself into you play the winger on the left and you play the fullback on the right. I think that makes more sense for Chelsea's squad. Like if you look purely if you just think about it right from the variety of different ways that Chelsea can get there. If you play the winger on the left, you can play Gittins, who can do all the things he wants to do as a winger. You can play Neto as a wingback, super wide. You can play both of those guys there, really, as like wingers. Garnacho can't do that, of wingers off the left. Estevao probably could, but you don't want to. That's probably not the role for him. And on the right, you do have James, you do have Gusto, who like, I don't know what that looks like. But you also do have Neto, who could play as a right wing back. Gittins can play as a right wing back. Like, you have options if you want to do that thing on that side. Again, Garnacho can't really play there. But if you think about it like purely as a back four tilted, right? Like, if you take a 4-3-3, like, let me go forward one because he played 3-4-3 in that one and it's easier, right? If you take a 4-3-3 and you just tilt it, which is all you're doing, you're taking a 4-3-3, you're pushing one fullback high, one fullback low. The winger on that side rotates low. The winger on that side comes inside, right? That's all you do. Palmer or Esteval go into the 10. You have a 10 who operates kind of off the left. You have a winger comes to wing back. Left back goes left center back. So I think there's options to get there. I mean, I think you could see even aggressive lineups where it's like James, Colwill, Hato as a back three, right? Where it's fullback, center back, fullback, and then you have winger, winger. Like, you play Gittins and whoever. You play and Josh Otter says, by God, that's Kenda's music. Kenda is a player I haven't even talked about in this, where Kenda, I think, can play wing back both sides. And I think actually as like an introduction to the Premier League, I think Kenda playing as a wing back makes a ton of sense. Now, we have this whole long conversation about wing backs. Barco, another player, where like I think Barco can play wing back in a 3, particularly in the Grimaldo role where like he just goes and plays in midfield. I do not think he can play left back in a 4. I think physically, as like Barco is really good. The dude can pass the ball. Like, with the ball at his feet, the dude can hang. I have almost zero questions about his ability on the ball in the Premier League. My big Barco questions are like, he, for his many talents, is so slow. Like, so slow. And I am somewhat reticent to say that will get fixed by playing in the Premier League. He's also a little small. He's not as small as he used to be. Like, he's grown in his late teens, early 20s. Like, he hit a bit of a growth spurt. He's not nearly as small as he used to be when he was playing at Brighton. Like, he has definitely grown as a guy. And he has filled out a little bit. Like, he's definitely stronger. But he's super slow. And that is a problem if you're going to play left back in a 4. It's less of a problem if you play wing back. Like, Marcus Alonso is a fabulous wing back, and Marcus Alonso is glacial. But yeah. And Andy B says if Barco's that got changed. So that, yeah, this is the thing I think that you have to manage, is who's going to play the wingbacks. Now, I think that this is only a slight wingback indicator, or a slight back 3 indicator, because I think even if you were playing a 4, I would have done this. I would have made this move, because I think you can get 90% of Cucurella for less than for more than, or less than half of what you paid for him. I mean, like, we can go through the many lists of left backs and whatever random players you want, like, but you can definitely get most of the way to a Marc Cucurella for much less. I think the dream is, can you go get Lewis Hall? I think one of the things that I would like very much caution people on with Lewis Hall, I love Lewis Hall. Okay, I want to be very clear. He does not play very many football matches. Like 24 out of 38 90s. And I mean, 2 of these seasons had like Champions League in them. I mean, this season 36 that's a pretty respectable season. But I think you just have to be really, really aware of the health. I think you got to be really aware of the health at 20. But I would definitely do it still. You just have to be aware. But I think the fee for Hall would be very large. Unless Newcastle are like super borked financially, I think the fee for that would be very large. I'm not really interested in like Carreras or any of those guys coming the other way. Like the wages from Madrid are so huge unless I'm getting like the guys I really want out of it. But I don't know. The awkward thing is if you look at the academy, like I think all of the academy left backs are buns, except for Emanalo. But I don't think Emanalo is particularly close to. Let me rephrase. I think Emanalo is really nice. I think Emanalo is really nice, but I think he is more of a outside center back and a back three than he is a out and out left back. Like I think the outside center back in a three, you're cooking, but because he's such a good passer. But like off the ball, I think he struggles a lot. He's quite slow. He's doesn't turn his hips very well. Like there's a lot of you can watch a lot of U21 games where he gets roasted in 1v1s that I am somewhat there. Perfect Man says Carreras for 45 million would be such good business. I mean, maybe. I think that's a lot though. Like I would be pretty reticent to go that high. I think one of the things that you really need to do here, I think one of the things that you really need to do here with respect to this is you need to like reallocate the resources somewhere else. Where like, okay, you book 30 million in profit here. Let's not go spend all of that on his replacement. Like you should buy his replacement for less, like for 30 million if you're buying a replacement at all, and then use the extra 30 million somewhere else to go do something else with your team. You know what I mean? Um Somebody asked what's the fee that I would pay for Lewis Hall? And that's an interesting thought. That is an interesting thought. I don't know. I don't know what the max fee I would pay is. I can tell you, like, if I was Newcastle and I was selling, the number I would want would be like what did Nuno Mendes go for? Or like 38? Like it's gonna be more than that. Like Hakeem, like I'm trying to think of what the fullback comparables are. Like Hakimi went to PSG, I think, for 65. Yeah, 68. Like the Hakimi number is probably the number I'd be looking for if I'm all. Like that's probably where I'm starting. So if you think for Chelsea, right? Like Chelsea, I think have a percentage of sell on profit. So 68 minus 33. It's a 35 times 0.8 because Chelsea get 20%. So like it would be 28 plus 33. So Chelsea would pay. Yeah, Chelsea would pay less than that. Like I don't know. Chelsea would pay 61. I would if you could turn the Cucurella fee directly into the Hall fee, like 55 plus 5 euros, I'd probably do it. Like just direct 1-to-1, like the money from Cucurella goes to Hall, I would do it. But I think if I was Chelsea, I'd probably try and get cuter. Um I think I'd probably try and get cuter with it. Like I would try and do stuff like sure, we'll pay you 70 million for Hall or 75 million for Hall. Like just I don't know, whatever, things that are weird. And I would try and be clever and be like, "Look, you've got two really aging center backs. I'll give you I'll give you Delap or I'll give you Disasi or Badiashile. Like, hey, you've got Melitia and Sven Botman, but then Shar and Byrne are 34. Like, what are they looking like long term? We'll give you Omega, or we'll do 80 for Hall, and you'll do 25 for Disasi, and you'll do 40 for Delap. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Um, or I mean, I don't know. I don't know who else, but like I think you could be pretty cute about like no, you scratch our back and we'll scratch your back, and like there's a mutually beneficial thing here. Um Bro MH is saying we're interested in Carreras and Raum. Um Cucurella gone and Enzo Fernandez will soon follow his good friend to Real Madrid. Enzo Fernandez done well to avoid the media. His team already have an agreement with Madrid. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. If that happens, though, like the number for Enzo is going to be huge. Huge, 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 huge. The number for Enzo is going to be massive. Like, I don't know. MH definitely knows stuff. I'll tell you that. Like, him and I had talked about some stuff way before it happened. Um, that like I had heard stuff and he had heard the same thing, and then it happened. So I was like, oh, I feel pretty good. Um, yeah, I mean, like the fee for Enzo to Madrid is going to be gargantuan. Like, there's no way. Like his book value. Like if we go Enzo Fernandez. So Chelsea paid 121 million. They likely did not hit most of. They likely did not hit most of the add-ons that were attached to that. Okay. Um, the let me take this for a second. Sorry, I got to drink my knockoff Fresca. They paid 121 million. Okay, that was on a 8-year deal, I think, a 9-year deal because they've extended it. So you do 121 divided by 9, so 13 and a half per year. And how many years does he have left on his deal? It's 2026 and it goes to 2032. So you have 80 million in book value left. Okay. There is no way the fee is even close to the book value. I would bet at the minimum it's 100 million pounds. There is no world where he is moving for less than that. He's 25, 26 in January. He's really good. He's plays every game. He's always fit. Like, I think there's no world where that. I don't even think Chelsea are moving him for a net loss. I would be very, very surprised. So, I don't know. I think from like a Chelsea perspective, if you can get out of him for what you paid, like if you can get out of Enzo and Cucurella for what you paid on both, like you're okay with that as a situation. Um, and Fierce and Azerti say like thoughts on the Anderson fee. They want like 140 million plus bonuses. If Anderson goes for 120, Madrid will pay up to 130. This is the thing. If Anderson, who is like objectively a so much worse Enzo Fernandez, like if he goes for 120 to City, like you're not moving Enzo Fernandez for less. So, I mean, like it's to me it's very easy for you to look at the Elliot Anderson fee and be like, "Ha, no. No, thank you. We're not even like not even approaching the number." And the difference between Enzo Fernandez and Marc Cucurella is like, as much as people are like, well, Enzo down tools under Rosignor, Enzo is really good down the stretch and is just like in a totally different stratosphere than Marc Cucurella as a player. Um, and has so many more years left on his contract. Like if you are not getting full freight, you're not moving him. You're not moving him. Anderson is way more reliable defensively, and there's goal scoring potential there. Anderson is more reliable defensively for a team who all they do is defend. If you put Anderson at Chelsea, he would look the exact same as Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez is a better passer. He's a better shot creator. He's a better goal scorer. He's better at everything on the football pitch, except for probably screening, like intercepting passes. And even then, that is way overrated for Anderson because he plays for a team that defends almost exclusively in a low block. Like to me, they're like not close. Like they're Elliot Anderson is a nice player, but he's like just a nice player. Paying 120 million for him is insane to me. Like the ceiling of my number for him was like 60. Like I'm just not even close on that. I think he's a nice player. Like he does a lot of things that I think will translate up. Like he is a legit good passer. But he's not close to as good a passer as Enzo Fernandez, in my opinion. Um, like Enzo is very, very good. Realistic replacement of Enzo is like a very interesting question. I think again, much like Marc Cucurella, it's like you're not replacing him. You're doing something different with the role. I think one of the things ultimately with Chelsea is like Enzo has kind of been forced into, not forced. Forced sounds like it's against his will because I'm sure he's quite happy to score a bunch of goals. But the way Chelsea's team has shaken out is like he has to go be a 10 and score a bunch of goals because Caicedo is an 8, and so you can't really play them together. Um, if you had like a legit sitting 6, he plays deeper, and I think things look different. So I think you're really just talking about like a different shape to the team, right? Um, and even then, like if Chelsea played a back 3, I would be really curious to see him and Caicedo together in a back 3. Like we've never really seen it other than the odd, like maybe a handful of times. Actually, I don't even think, maybe a handful of times. Um, but yeah, on Carreras, like I have not watched enough to have a super strong opinion. So like whatever. Um, on the Raum thing, I don't think the Raum thing is a real. I don't think that's a real link. I know Chelsea were super, super, super into him. Um, when he moved to Leipzig from Hoffenheim, like that was a real thing that Chelsea were super into. But I don't think that's a thing today. Um, but I don't know. Like I would do. I don't know. I don't know what I would do, but I probably wouldn't do either of those. Is my feel. Um, I think the big tell on like back 3 and not back 3 is going to be the first incoming player. I think a lot of the outgoing business is going to be what can Chelsea do versus what it's going to be what can Chelsea do versus what they want to do. Where like in an ideal world, I think they would have liked to keep Cucurella, but they're getting a good enough deal that they're like, yeah, we're gonna move him. Um, I think you're going to see other outgoing moves um, from other guys that play or might play or could play, and it's going to be just who you can get rid of versus um, who you want to get rid of. Connor F says, "Am I crazy for thinking don't replace Enzo? If we sell him, spread minutes among Santos, Sugo, and Lavia." I think that would be unwise. I don't think that midfield is good enough to do something real. Santos can play more, but like Lavia clearly can't play heavy minutes, and Sugo is like maybe. I don't know. I think you have to go get someone if you get rid of him, but I think it looks different than it does now. Like I think it is. I think it is a much more real 6, like a true sitting 6. James Garner as a replacement. Somebody got really mad at me because I said I probably just don't think he's quite at the level of Chelsea because he wasn't that good at United or something. I said something about how like, well, United needed midfielders and still chose to sell him. I don't know. I'm not that sold, but like, I don't know. I'm still not. He had a nice season, but I'm still not quite there for him. Bring Josh Hart to be our left wing back. He's a demon. I would love. I would love Josh Hart to play center back for Chelsea. Josh Hart's a great guy, man. Yeah, Wharton I think is like has similar flaws to Enzo. Like I think he's just I don't know. Pano says ask Rael for Chouameni and Dean Housen for Enzo and hope they're dumb enough to do it. Yeah, that's like I would love to do a Chouameni and Housen swap. And that's probably about fair value. Pice insinuated, CFC Piss insinuated we were signing a player we would get excited about with Rodgers going to Arsenal. Who can that be? I mean, our fan base are transfer crackheads. They'd be excited for anybody. Yeah, I don't know. Obity, would you do Rashford for 30? No, makes too much money. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what Arsenal want to do. I also like. I don't think the Morgan Rogers thing is. I don't think the Morgan Rogers thing is a super strong link, to be honest with you. Like Rogers Rogers's agent is very loud. Like you have heard him linked to Chelsea, to Arsenal, to United, to City, to PSG, to Bayern, like everyone. I don't know. I don't know. I also don't know what the number looks like. Cuz if you're Villa, there's enough hype that like this is crazy by the way. If you're Villa, you want a huge number for him. A huge number. Um but I don't know. Like the thing that has always worried me about about Rogers is like Villa are very willing to do swappy Pluvalenza stuff, and like there's a pretty easy world to do like Disasi plus Morgan Rogers has a release clause. I mean, that's news to me. Yeah, I mean, I have not heard that he has a release clause, but maybe he does. That doesn't seem to be reported. Um, yeah, I don't know. So, uh, I think on I don't know. My worry with Rodgers is that like it's very easy for Chelsea to do weird Pluvalenza stuff. Like you could do Jackson, Disasi, and money for him or something. So who knows? But I'm not touching Morgan Rogers. I have no interest in that deal. Let let Arsenal have him. I think he'd be good for Arsenal because he like Arteta is a good coach. He would make them work, but I just wouldn't touch that. Um, we'll see. We've got actually somebody asked. Here's a good like segue for me to do some propaganda for a minute. Somebody said, where was it? Who was it? Will Farrell said, "God, I miss football ref. How can we evaluate players anymore?" I'm going to plug an app for chat. They did not pay me to do this, but they are my friends. There's an app called Footy, Futi. It's like FotMob but data based, so it's like has all sorts of really cool data on it. So for example, you can look at like I wish they don't have a web version, but because they're keeping it to the phones for now. But you can see all sorts of like really crazy um some really cool data. And they have like you can look at they have team styles built into it. It's like this is the Germany Curacao game, which is like press and possess, bunker counter. Um, they have like all sorts of cool models in there. They have field tilt. They have action maps. You can look at individual players. One of the cool things they do is they have stories. So they have like Instagram stories for players. Let me like um, let me like screenshot this and put this on my put it on the laptop so you can see it. But it's a really cool app, and I would um, highly recommend you. Yeah, so they have stuff like this. They have like data stories, so they have like, oh, here's all the dashboard from Kai Havertz for Germany against Curacao, blah 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 blah. Would highly recommend you check out the app. This is made by a guy named John Muller and Mike Imbergio. John used to write for the Athletic and ASA and the Guardian. Mike is a analyst with a couple different teams and has a PhD in data science, and like they're smart guys, and the app is really good. So I would highly recommend you check it out. It's in like beta for the World Cup is what I would call it. Um, so you can kind of like see what's going on and check it out. But if you look it up in the App Store, it's there. The like final version is not done yet, so like be patient. But if you go check it out on the App Store for the World Cup, you can. It is a very cool app. And like they have Netherlands Japan is going on live right now, and so you can see like everything's going on. But yeah, it's pretty dope. I like it a lot. So check that out. If you miss FB Ref, this is going to be the place that you want. They're gonna have the Premier League, they're gonna have MLS, and they're gonna have the World Cup. So you can see. I will be showing lots of stuff about Chelsea on there next season. I can promise you that much. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What else you guys want to talk about? What do you want to talk about with Chelsea? What would you like? Everything that's gone on. If you were to take a guess, who's the first player that Chelsea buy this summer? Gum Memory Project says can't find it on the App Store. Let me find it. Hold on. Woody. Oh no. Come back here. I'm going to Gum Memory Project. I'm going to reply to my tweet about the stream with it. Where's my tweet with the stream? Okay, I just posted the App Store link to it on Twitter. Um, so you can go there. Who is the first player Chelsea buy this summer? And you cannot include Barco or Omega or like any of the deals or Kenda, like the deals that are already agreed. So if you are other than those guys, who would you guess? Because like to me, I don't know. Like I don't know if it's going to be a center back. I don't know if it's going to be a midfielder. I don't know. I think I said this on Twitter a few weeks ago, but like I don't it is unusual to me that Alonso has been the manager or was appointed as the manager whatever like 7 months ago, like a month ago, and we have I don't know. We have no idea. Like I'm not any closer to knowing what's going on. Discordant Football says insane guess by Andy Robertson. If I'm right, I'm a genius. Robertson already signed for Spurs, so I think that's out. Same as Senesi. Um, feels like there haven't been a lot of links. Feels super quiet. I totally agree with this. Like that, I agree. Like there have been no serious conversations, anyways. Um, like I wonder if I can like when was the first transfer last summer? It's admittedly different because we had the Club World Cup. Um, details. Let's see if I can see. Is there a date that I can see when they joined? No, I can't. That's not helpful to me. Let's go to the Chelsea 25-26 Wikipedia. I think that usually has dates. Thomas Wilkinson, isn't it good that there's no public links this year? Listen, if Chelsea did every deal the way they did the Cucurella deal, where there's nothing, there's no conversation about sales, there's no nothing, blah 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 blah, and then the deal is done, I would be orgasmic. I would be over the moon with joy if this was how they operated for the whole summer. It would actually be really, really funny to me. I posted it under your tweet here. What? Wonder what one? I would be. It would be really, really, really funny to me if you had like the directors are doing their thing, right? And then you have like Alonso is finally an adult in the room that like Alonso has so much more power than all of the directors, not because of like the actual refresh, not because of the actual like setup of the. Oh, here you go. Thank you. Oh, this is yeah. Okay, this is very helpful. Thank you, my man. Appreciate that. Um, the so July 2nd. So actually, it's not that weird. This was during. These were during Club World Cup. Estevan was pre-agreed, and then the other ones were pretty late. Oh no, these are all Junes. Okay, pre-agreed, not pre-agreed. The lap 4th of June, and then Club World Cup. Huh. Isaac McGilvery. I don't know that guy. I also didn't know Jay Shade Greenwood was from Wolves. Chris Atherton. Yeah, that's an interesting. So we had already done. So if you say like, okay, Omega and Barco are like these guys. Really, they did one. Oh, it's an order of fee. I see. That makes sense. Um, yeah, I don't know. I have no. I have no idea what direction we're going, what we want to do, where it's going, who is going, and like as Thomas Wilkinson said earlier, I think that honestly might be a good. That might be good. That might be good. But yeah, the thing in relation to Alonso, sorry, I got distracted, was like so when Poch was there, like Poch was on a short contract, so like already a weird power dynamic. And so like, okay, Graham Potter comes in. Graham Potter is a relative nobody who the directors didn't hire. So like weird power dynamic. Then Poch comes in, short contract, weird power dynamic. Then Maresca comes in, who they picked, they have the power edge. Interim manager, they have the power edge. Rosenior, they have the power edge. But now Alonso is back in, has a long contract, has like significantly more like reputation in the game than Potter. Probably similar to or slightly more than Pochettino, probably similar. But has the long contract and the manager title. So I wonder if now like he's like the adult in the room and all the directors like are like, okay, I'm about to leak this to Fabrizio. And he's like, what are you talking about? No, you're not. You're not leaking anything to anybody. We're not talking about this publicly. Shut up. or like they're like, yeah, we got to look at we got to look at so and so, and they're like, no, 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 you actually are not. No, you don't have to do any of that. You just have to do your job. That would be very funny to me if if he was like normal. Yeah, this is interesting to compare to Garnacho. What a shame. Um, the one thing now with transfers in, we need to figure out who stays because the squad is massive and a lot of them have no business being here. Yeah, I think the lack of European competition certainly changes the in out dynamic. You definitely can't do the thing where you bring in 10 guys and you're like, we're gonna figure it out with the outgoings later. Um, what's your take on Steve's recovery so far? I'm pretty nervous because it it was clearly a very bad tear, but it sounds like he's recovering pretty well from his own comments. He made some like very Trumpy comments that were like, the doctor's never seen anybody's hamstring heal like mine before. There's no tear. They can't even tell the tear's there on the X-rays. There's nothing there. Like that was a weird thing. But I think I am kind of glad that him and his crew. Um, I'm kind of glad that they have made the call to not have surgery right away. Like just wait and see how it heals. Like at 18, like you should not go straight to, hey, we're gonna surgically reattach it to the bone. Like taking a cautious approach is not bad. So I think that I think that's fair. I think waiting on that is okay, and we'll see. And the nice thing is about playing once a week is like you can slow roll it again. Um, Dom Ben Davies Jacob says, glad Joe Pedro's not the World Cup, but goddamn it must hurt for Igor Thiago. Man, so many of these guys are like, I watched that Brazil game and I'm like, really? Like Andre Santos didn't make this team, Joe Pedro didn't make this team. And I'm sure I'm gonna watch England and be like, really? You didn't take Cole Palmer, you didn't take Levi Colwell? But it's gonna be so nice for Chelsea next year. Like I would if Ecuador, like I would okay, I gotta be careful. I would not want this to happen. However, if there was a world where Caicedo took a straight red card in the first game, was suspended for the rest of the group stage, and Ecuador got grouped, I would cry tears of joy at having Caicedo to rest for a whole summer. If the same thing happened to Argentina and Enzo Fernandez did not play, I would cry tears of joy. The crimes I would commit to have those guys just like rest for the summer are very high. Um, it won't happen, but just like, yeah, please, please, man. Um, so yeah, I think that is what it is. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. Japan is so fun to watch. I really like Japan, man. Like I think they're so well coached. The clearest one of the things that's like really fun with women's soccer is like because the players are less athletically talented than in the men's game, like it becomes, I think personally that it is clearer to see like what is coach intention, like what is the coach trying to do versus what are like the players just doing, because like everything happens a little bit slower, the players aren't as fast, the players can't cover as much ground, like they can't strike the ball 85 yards, like all of those things add up to, you can see the intention more in the women's game, which I quite enjoy. And one of the things I really love is watching the Japanese team play because it's like, oh no, no, no. This is a team of like every single player knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And they know and not that they don't have freedom. Um not that they don't have freedom, but like they have a clear sense of what the goal they're trying to accomplish is with every possession and action. And so like yes, they have freedom with to like get to the end goal, but it's like very clear that they know what they're trying to do. And I feel the same way about the Japanese men's team. Like I think they're very, very well coached. Isn't Crescencio Somerville from Curacao? Why? He was born in the Netherlands. I thought he. I swear, his FIFA Ultimate Team card had Curacao on it. Or no, Suriname. Yeah, sure. All right, works for me. Um, I can't believe did Omega make the Dutch squad? I don't think so, right? Brian Broby, Goose Till. This is a fake player, bro. It's a made up name. Goose Till. Veghorst, he's got to be like 108, 33, and plays at Sparta Rotterdam. Or, I don't know, that's just the new Ajax logo. Sure. All right, cool. It's a weird team. The Rune's got to be old, 35. Yeah. Would I take Gakpo? I like Gakpo. Gakpo's fun. Not I don't know if like he's a guy I'd want at Chelsea, but he's fun. Actually, if we were playing like 3-4-3 and he could play like left 10, yeah, I'd be kind of a I wouldn't like pay the fee to get him, but I would like him a lot in that mold. Um Hazard 7 says, what would be the number for Krupi? Think he would fit Alonso and can finish? Um, I like Krupi a lot. I think the number for Krupi is probably going to be very high. Um, it's an interesting question. I don't think I have a good handle of like. I think Bournemouth will just not sell, right? Like they have a lot of money. I don't know. I don't know. The other thing that has like kind of flown under the radar is that Bournemouth have lost all three parts of their decision making structure over the past 2 years. So, um, what's his name? The Bournemouth guy who went to Liverpool with Edwards. I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. The director of football guy who is now under Edwards. Iraola is also now at Liverpool, which we haven't talked about. And Tim Bezbachenko, who was running Black Knight, which is I think that's what they're called, right? Black Knight. Their like bigger overarching football structure that owns all of their clubs. Um, what were they called? Yeah, Black Knight. Bezbachenko is back now and runs global soccer with Haslam Sports Group for the men's and the women's team. Um, yeah, Richard Hughes. Yeah, so Hughes is now at Liverpool, Iraola is now at Liverpool, and Bezbachenko, who is running the global overarching job at Bournemouth, has gone back to the States. So now, like, it's a totally different structure at Bournemouth. So I think I would bet that they will be reticent to turn over as much of the squad again this summer, and that they will try and hold. And they have Europe, right? So they'll try and hold on to more of their guys. Um, that would be my guess. El Mala will be our first signing. I would be so into an El Mala signing, price dependent. Um, I think if you are buying a winger, I think that's exactly the shape of it. I think the number would probably make me a little queasy, but like I would like it more than whatever you paid for Gittins, and like that that milk is already spilt. Um, I don't know. Andy B says, should Enzo leave? What do you think about Baliba coming in? You could pick him up on a reasonable price since he had an off season. I think you can never get Brighton players on a reasonable price. Um, that being said, I think the Jean Paul Van Hecke price to Spurs is going to end up being pretty reasonable. Um, but he's got 2 years left. He had a down year. Like, if you paid 50 million for Baliba, I'd be into it. But I think it's, again, it depends what I think it depends what the fee is. Like, it depends what you're doing in midfield. Because I think we have to be honest with ourselves about, if you look at what Baliba has done, right, as a player, he doesn't play very much because he's injured a lot. He he is a kind of like, he's not a very good passer, right? Like, both in terms of volume and like progression um and like shot creation. Like, he doesn't do any of the three spokes of the passing wheel, right? Like, he doesn't retain the ball super well, he doesn't move the ball forward super well, he doesn't create shots. Those are the three. He's a very good carrier, but he's also not like super secure with the ball. Like, he's not um I'm trying to think of like, he's not like Kovacic, right? Like, Kovacic is also a very accomplished carrier, but Kovacic like never turned it over. That was the Kovacic thing. Baliba turns the ball over a decent amount. So you have to balance that, like, okay, he carries the ball up, but he's not super secure with it. He's a decent ball winner in terms of tackles, but he doesn't intercept and do other stuff. Like, if you're playing a 3-4-3 and you played him and Caicedo together, like, that's an incredibly rangy pair and you can do some really fun things with it. But I just think you have to be really careful. So I don't know. Like, I'd be very price dependent. And if I was going to do it, like, you would have to have like other guys out already. Like, you would have to have moved on from like Lavia and Asugo already or something like that. I do wonder if there's a world where Chelsea choose to move on from Andre Santos for pretty big money this summer to go get um other guys. Uh do 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 do. What was what was that one? Here it is. I wanted to look at Sangare at Lone. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. Ben Davies Jacobs' his thoughts on Alonso being into Tyreek George. I'd be pretty surprised, but I would get it. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is definitely a Liga all rounder, is how I would describe this player. Wins the ball a decent amount, intercepts pretty well. This is fun. I don't think I've seen this before. Let's have a gander. Oh, that's fun. Lamine Kamara, Ederson, who's gone to United. Um, People are about Ezekiel Fernandez because of the. Let's see who pops up as the most similar to Enzo Fernandez. Arda Güler. Yeah, I don't know. Odegaard has always felt like a good comp for me. How do I think Alonso goes about fixing Cole Palmer? So I think that the fixes for Palmer are like twofold. I think one is somebody said I flagged Sucic a while ago. Yeah, I love Sucic, bro. I'm super into Sucic. I think number one for Palmer is you have to just like get him fit again. Um, I think like he is so even when he came back, like he couldn't sprint or didn't sprint. Whether it's couldn't or didn't, I think is unclear. Um, but I think you need to get him fit is number one. I think number two is you absolutely need to get him back into situations to be a play finisher more than a play um more than a play creator. Because I think one of the things that I didn't like about let me pull up Cole Palmer, right? Like I think this will actually be very illustrative. So we have really, really high vape declining. Okay, fine. But now if I do like what can I do? What other yeah, here we go. Let me do like final product. No, I don't want that. I don't like this. I'll have to play around and see what I like about it. But I think one of the things that you saw very clearly with actually this will be a great example. This will be a great example. So if you look at his carries and his dangerous passes, so deep. Like so many of these carries are much deeper in 2025, 2026. And then if I look at 2024, 2025, and I do the same thing, like you just have a lot less of the really deep stuff and it's much more the stuff around the box. There's also a lot more crosses, which I really, really liked. And then if you go to 2023, 2024, it's going to be all like wider into the box, like way less deep progression stuff. And that I think is the big thing is like Chelsea got worse and progressively needed him to do deeper ball progression stuff. Like you can see very clearly. Let's see what this is. What's a threatening action? Sure, why not? So here's 23, 24. Okay? High and to the right. And I'm going to put my finger to see if it moves. So action start locations 23, 24. And then it's slightly deeper and both sides in 25, 26. And then it's much deeper and to the left in 25 in 25, 26. Like that's bad. That's bad. He should like this is not good, bro. You don't want your best attacking player to have all of his attacking actions or his best expected threat actions done here. That's bad. It's because he's doing all ball progression for you. And the team needed it, right? But I think one of the things that will help is that Alonso's teams are very good at ball progression, so you can afford to keep him much higher. I think much higher. So in terms of like fixing him, whether it's a 3 or a 4, if it's a 4, I would bet you so much money he plays wide. I would bet you so much. Oh, it's Enzo. I was gonna say that looks very strange. Where are you, Cole Palmer? Where'd he go? Oh, because it went to Champions League. Hold on. Premier League. Cole Palmer. It's actually not bad. That's probably closer to goal than I thought it was. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what. But there is definitely a lot more deeper bullshit here, which you don't want. Leave him high to go do his thing. Who's like a good comparable player that I want to think about? Like, who's a comparable player? Like, Bellingham. No, I don't think that's right. Yeah, like just give me this. I want him to be this guy. But I don't know. We'll see. I think Alonso has like a very good understanding of like what players are good at, and then what is valuable about what they're good at to do more of it. Like this is why I think he will like Jackson, and why Jackson will stay. Like if you told me that Chelsea are going to play a bunch of lineups that are going to be effectively a 3-4-3. Somebody said Verts. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, Verts is fun. Cherokee. Um, I think the if you told me that Chelsea are going to play a bunch of lineups that are like Jackson nominally is the left 10, João Pedro is the 9, Palmer is the right 10, Enzo Caicedo double pivot, right? Like 3-4-3 that starts from there. And really, it's just going to become this. Like Enzo's going to shift high, and it's going to be like 3-5-2 ish, and you're going to play with 2 9s almost. I think it gets very frisky very quickly. Now, somebody brought up I'd play Jackson as the striker and João Pedro as the 10. I think that is a very open question. Let's just like pull one up for fun. So, humor me. You can go here, you can go here, and I can't even remember what number Jackson was. 11? I'm really bad at the number thing. So like this is your team, right? Like let's just pretend it's this. Pretend it's exactly this team, okay? Just for fun, because it's a fun place to be. If your choice between Jackson and João Pedro, I think in the box, João Pedro is a better striker, objectively, right? But I think in the middle third, I think one of the things that actually really hurt Chelsea this year is like when João Pedro gets here, it's a lot of like receive the ball, take a touch, turn, maybe link, maybe dribble, and it's just kind of slow. Whereas I think when Jackson was the 9 under Pochettino and under Maresca, I think things just flowed a lot better where he was so much more willing to just set for someone underneath and then spin behind, or like take one touch to roll into space, or to stretch so that these players have space. Where like João Pedro did a pretty good job of stretching teams, but it was always like for him. It wasn't for other guys. And so I think when you think like defensively, there's going to be situations where this player is going to have to track. I think I like this better. I think I like this better. The other thing that I actually really, really, really like about this is it becomes very natural to have this one where like, and Jackson will drag guys and then go. And the other thing that I think is so much better is you are going to end up in situations where Jackson makes the run to occupy the center back, and João Pedro gets to dunk on fullbacks at the back post. And I think if you let João Pedro attack fullbacks at the back post, he's going to absolutely abuse guys. Like I don't know. I think the things that João Pedro can do would be disgusting to fullbacks in the air. Like you imagine the world. Imagine the world where this is Reece James, right? Like whatever. Let me change you to Reece James because Gusto sucks. Of the Chelsea 3, you have like Palmer posted up, you have James here, you have Enzo Fernandez box crashing as an 8, you have whatever guy here, you've got 3 back for rest defense, and it's like, hey, you're gonna cross it, and Jackson's gonna crash hard, and then you're gonna have like Enzo Fernandez arriving late and João Pedro arriving late to just abuse the back post, or you're gonna have Palmer playing in swinger to back. You're just gonna abuse it. It feels like a cheese strategy like from Football Manager, like one of those broken tactics. But I don't know. I think you could play around with it. Like I can see, I can see certain opponents where you would want Ja Pedro as the 9 and Jackson to go behind. Like I think if you played like, I'm trying to think who plays like a super high line these days. But like if you think about like the Ange Spurs teams, like Jackson as a winger would ruin. Um so I don't know. You have options to get what you want. But I think you can play both in certain situations, and again, in the flow of things they can change. Like one of the things that I think you'll probably see if they're smart is like one of you go press for 15 minutes and like run hard and like press hard, and then when you're tired, swap with Jackson, like swap, and then the other one go do it. You know what I mean? Um so we'll see. Hazard 7 says I don't think directors let Jackson stay if we have Delap and Omega on the books. I would be. I think there's no chance all four stay. Um, but like, if you told me that Omega went on loan to Palace from Chelsea this year, I'd believe you. There was like some reporting a few weeks ago that like Chelsea feel like Amiga could be sold for much more, but also recognized like he couldn't really stay at Strasbourg anymore. And so they were like, he might be ready for Chelsea now, he might not be, but let's do the deal anyways and see. And you could talk me into that being a real thing. That Chelsea are like, look, we'll pay a small profit to Strasbourg now, who can't book it anyways. And then we'll loan him in the Premier League for a year. He'll do a good job, and then we'll sell him for double next summer. I could totally see them doing that with Omega, like quite easily. You loan him to Palace. You loan him to um, West Ham went down, Everton, something like that. You know what I mean? Um, but you loan him to like someone like that, a mid-table team who needs. You loan him to Newcastle. Like, could totally see that. Um, that would actually be really funny. So we'll see we'll see how that plays out in terms of options. Um, Fulham, Fulham, sure, like all those teams, kind of in that pile. Um, Leeds, he feels like a weirdly Leedsy striker. Um, but you can do lots of that. And then Delap, I think is very easy to move. I saw some reporting that was like, no, Chelsea want 40 million. They don't just want what they paid for him back. They want more. They want a profit. I think that's probably a good place to start and be like, well, 32 million is only the price because of the release clause. There's no release clause now, and he would have moved for more. So we want the more. Um, yeah, like I don't know. I don't know. And I think he's like the kind of player that you could, if you couldn't move him, like let's say you can't move him for the fee you want, you could go to one of the promoted teams. Like you could go to Hull and be like, yeah, loan him, pay us a decent sized loan fee, and he'll keep you up. Like, look how good he was for Ipswich. Um, so we'll see. Will Farrell says, what do you think they'll do with our wingers? If we sign someone, they surely got to sell someone, and our wingers are not easy to sell. So if you look at all the wingers, right, there are a lot of them. Sterling is gone, but you have Neto, you have Gittins, you have George, you have Esteval, you have Palmer, you have Garnacho, you have Kenda, and I think that's everybody. I think in terms of like not easy to sell, I think Gittins is unmovable. I also think you probably don't want to quit that deal yet. Um, I think that's okay. I think George, you're going to move for close to whatever the fee was to Everton. I think Garnacho is actually pretty easy to move. I think you would get close to what you paid from someone, whether that's a Premier League team or a Serie A team or a La Liga team. Like, I think you would get pretty close to what you paid. And that was one of the things that I said about the Garnacho deal and the Delap deal, right? Was I didn't like the Delap deal and I did like the Garnacho deal. But what I said ultimately for both of them, why I was like, yeah, I think they're both smart to do, or both at least like reasonable to do, is that if they go poorly because of their age and their track record and the fee you paid, which was like not small but also not big, it becomes much easier to get out of them for reasonable money. Where like Delap had literally the worst possible season he could have had. He went, just wide. He went 1 for 5 on his XG in the league. So like a guy who like everybody was like, he's a top finisher, 1 for 5 in the league. Misses almost the whole season with muscle injuries. Like gives you nothing. And still, I'm like, you're probably going to be able to move him for what you paid. Garnacho had like had a fine first half of the season and then was terrible the second half of the season. Pice tweet on Alonso about Set Payev. What's his thing? CFC piss. The Kairat chairman says Xabi Alonso has studied Setpayev in great detail. I don't know loan or not. I can only speak about my own club. But what I do know is that when we played against Real Madrid, I had a conversation with Alonso after the match. After the time, he told me they had been closely monitoring him. Alonso knows him well. Sure, it doesn't mean anything to me. Let's see what the Guardian says. Jacob Steinberg, who I think blocked me on Twitter. They felt his level dipped after Christmas and were encouraged by Hato. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's the right thought. Which one do I think should move, and which ones do you think is fine if they stay? I would have no qualms if they did nothing at the winger spot. If they looked at all the wingers and said, we're not moving any of them, I would be like, all right, sure, I guess. I think in terms of like wanting to move, though, I think you want to move Pedro Neto the most. He is the oldest. He is the richest in terms of wages. He is like you paid a pretty big fee, but a lot of the fee has gone now, so you can probably get off of him. I think you want to move him the most. But also like he plays a lot and is like kind of useful. But like yeah, he's probably the one you want to get rid of the most. But like if he's going to play wingback, like there is a world, right, where he plays exactly the same. He puts up the exact same numbers but from wingback, and it's a very different looking season for you. I don't know how likely that is, but it's possible. I think Esteval you don't want to move. I think Palmer you don't want to move unless they're big numbers. I think the next most interested in moving for me is Gittins, because I just don't think Gittins is ever going to be that guy. Like I think there's a significantly higher chance. I think there is a higher chance that Garnacho is useful for Chelsea next season than Gittins is, because he was useful for Chelsea last season in big stretches. But like if I was to describe the like distribution curve of Garnacho and Gittins outcomes, like it would look like I don't even know how to do this. Like How do I don't know how to do paint. Where are you? Give me the pen. It would be like this. Like, here's the graph. Okay. Let me get you here. And then it's like this. It's like good, okay, and bad. Okay, and then like percent chance. Okay. That I fucked that up. I'm sorry. Drawing with the mouse is really hard. I don't like this at all. Okay. So like percent chance, and this is bad and this is good. Gittins is like this, like a normal curve, but then there's a really, 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 really thin tail that goes like super far. Like he could be so good. Garnacho's is like this. Where like Garnacho's average outcome is better. But there's no chance. There's very low chance that Garnacho is like amazing. Like I think he's going to be like a good 60th percentile guy, and he's young, and like that's fine. Get him strong, maybe he's a little bit better than that, but like that's the guy he is. But it's also unlikely he's like terrible. Whereas Gittins like could be very bad. He could just be like Andros Townsend, but he could be like amazing. He's like a box. He could be anything inside the box, even a boat. I don't know if people know that reference, but he could be a boat. Um, so I don't know. That's my feel on the wingers. Is like I think the only one you're really itching to get out of is Neto. I think Neto's the only one you're really itching to get out of. I would like. There's a lot of squad guys that I would really 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 like to get out of. Um, Draw Kenda. What would Kenda be? Kenda would be like Kenda would be like no, I messed up. Kenda would be like this. Like the average outcome is similar to Garnacho, but like it's a much broader distribution curve. He could be anything. It shouldn't have gone that tall. I messed up, guys. It should be like this. Like that. That's Kenda. Because he's just younger, and so we know a lot less. The error bars are much bigger. The full width half max, if we're doing stats one, of his distribution curve is much wider. So I don't know. Um, Went to school with Andros Townsend. He used to kick basketballs at the year sevens and refused to complete any exam. Just slept on the table for the hour. Also had a fight with the teacher. That is an incredible story. I kick basketballs at year sevens is very funny to me. We I'm trying to think what somebody asked what I thought about the Canada game earlier. So what I'll say on the Canada game is like it was um it was incredibly it felt incredibly good to see Kyle score. Um so like for those who are unaware, I'm in 95, so I'm the same age as Larea and Kyle Laren. Um who both played I played in the same leagues as them. I played in the same provincial teams as them. We played against each other lots. We played together lots. Um, they are really really good guys who like grew up with pretty difficult backgrounds to achieve what they did. So for me to see Kyle Laren score a goal at a World Cup is like a crazy thing. Like yeah, that's a guy I played against like loads of times. Like there are a million pictures of us as kids on the same teams and on other teams and whatever. Um, Richie Leray the same. Like they played for like a club called Sigma, who's like an academy, and we played them in tournaments, and we were like the only team who would ever beat them, and they would beat us, and it was like a whole thing. And So for me, it makes me very proud that and very happy for those guys. I was home. I was home in May for something, and my mom and I were going through pictures of just like old family pictures, and we found these old pictures of my sister who we used to. So in Canada now there's like lots of turf fields, but when I was growing up there were no turf fields. Like it was very hard to find places to play in the winter, so it was pretty like normal that you would train in gymnasiums and stuff. And so when I played for the regional team, which is like the Canadian equivalent of like the county teams or whatever, I think you guys have county teams in England. Um, Kyle and I played for the same regional team, and we used to train at this place called Brampton Fairgrounds, and it was literally like an indoor dome that they used for like horse shows and stuff like that. And then they turned it into a turf soccer field. Um, they turned it into a turf soccer field, and we would train there. And but the training was at like 5 o'clock in the morning because it was like the cheapest time to get field time. And so um, we found this picture of my sister used to bring, because we would drag my sister to the games and practices and whatever, and my sister would bring all of her stuffed animals and a tent, and they would set up a tent on the sideline and set up a petting zoo in the tent. And her and Kyle's sister, little sister, would like go play with all these animals, and we found a picture of them. And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy. That's a long time ago." Um, so it's just like a cool. For me, it's very cool. So like everything about this team, I'm like, I just love it. Like, yeah, we tied Bosnia. It's our first point. Great, Kyle scored. Awesome. I hope we beat Qatar. I will be at the game against Switzerland to decide the group. Like I'm on cloud nine. This is awesome. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Pana says Tanny played for my local EPSL team after St. John's. Yeah, Tanny has like a really fun thing. A story I can tell about Tanny is that Tanny played for Vaughan, I think, in when he was growing up in Ontario. He was playing for like just like local small club teams, like Aaron Mills and GPS and stuff. And when he got drafted, he was supposed to go way higher than 17th. And he people like called his coaches back home, and his coaches talked shit about him. So he didn't go as high as he was supposed to. He played for the Pan Cyprian Freedoms. Is this your team, Pano? Pano, all I'm gonna say to you is like it's kind of disgraceful that you are a Chelsea fan instead of supporting your local team, the New York Pan Cyprian Freedoms. If you were a real soccer fan, I think you would. I think you would actually go to watch them play at Belson Stadium in Jamaica, New York. I think you would, if you were a real fan, you would go learn the teachings of Stratus Mastro Kyriakos. I think this is your team. You would go watch these guys. You would not watch Chelsea. You would go watch the Pan Cyprian Freedoms. 3-time Open Cup champions. Wait, they won the US Open Cup in the 80s? That's crazy. I mean, they made the second round of CONCACAF Champions League. This is a real team, bro. What are you doing? I would go watch this team every weekend. Luka Lukovic is a crazy name. Look at these guys. Look at the PG Panagialos. Bro, that guy is super Greek. Super Cypriot. Mimis Papayanu. Look at this guy. Bro, he had 60 caps for Greece and he coached this team. Western suburbs. Sure, man. I I used to play for a team called Hamilton Serbians, and I don't know if they have Wikipedia, to be honest. No, not White Eagles. I used to play for a club called Hamilton Serbians, and oh wow, Miro Cabrillo, that's funny. And I played with this guy there who used to play for Red Star Belgrade, which is fun. Um, but he played when he was like 40, and I was like a kid. Um, but anyways, yeah, so he played in this Red Star team. But the team was like a random local Serbian team, and we had all these like former Serbian pros. We had like five guys who played in the Champions League for Red Star Belgrade. Like our goalie coach was like the backup goalkeeper from the Red Star team that won the Champions League. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Sure." Um and this guy, Igor, he used to be the player manager of he used to be the player manager of the reserve team because I was like 16. And one time we were losing 3-0 away to a team called York Region Shooters, who were like all like Caribbean guys. We were down 3-0. He subbed himself on at halftime, and off the kickoff at halftime, lobbed their goalkeeper to make it 3-1, and we ended up tying 3-3, and he scored a hat trick. It was just a weird, like, Canada and America. I don't think people understand this because this is like, I don't think this is a thing in England. But, like, in Canada and America, all the amateur teams are ethnic teams. Some of them are like just regional or whatever. But for the most part, like you go to New York or you go to Toronto or you go to San Francisco or whatever, all the like good men's teams are like New York Pan Cyprians or they're Serbian and Croatian or they're whatever. Like if you look at the old Canadian Soccer League, we're in such a deep rabbit hole. We're in such a deep rabbit hole. Like no, not the I want the old CSL. Like it's a different yeah, here we go, Canadian Soccer League. So this is like the CSL went debunked. They lost their sanctioning because they had match fixing scandals. I think I've told the match fixing story on here before. But like the original teams were like the Whitecaps were in it. TFC had a reserve team in it. Montreal were in it. Um, but like St. Catharines Wolves played with the Roma badge, and you wore Roma kits, and it was all Italian guys. Um, Toronto, Croatia, obviously all Croatian guys. There were some teams who were not like that. Brampton Hitmen. I'm trying to remember who else was in here. Yeah, Italia Shooters who like played in Toronto. Serbian White Eagles. Brantford Galaxy. This was another team that was all Serbs. I played for this team as well. Like FC Vorkuta, who were all Serbs. Like it's literally just all ethnic teams, and they were sick. Um, and yeah, you'd have very strange teams. But like a lot of these guys are like there were a lot of guys who had like legit pro careers who played in this league, and it ended up being a thing. Um, wow, this is a throwback to see some of these names. Yeah, there was a whole. But this is what soccer in the U.S. and Canada is like. Um, it's all ethnic teams, which I don't think if is a thing in England. Like I don't. I've seen on YouTube now like guys who, um, I've seen guys on YouTube now who are like they'll have like a like an all Middle Eastern team who play like step 10 or something in London. So I don't know if that's becoming more, but in Canada and the US, that's like all the best teams. So the real Semi says thoughts on replacing Enzo um with Maresca with Nemecha. I am I don't know. Sebsi and Purelation since news broke, Cucurella left. I texted him this morning saying saying congratulations, the Knicks won a championship and Cucurella's out of your club. Um I so there are leagues that I think certain positions translate, and there are leagues that certain positions I think don't translate, right? Like, I think, for example, Bundesliga center backs translate really well to the Premier League because, like, one, it's a league that cares about set pieces, so they're usually pretty big. Two, it's a league that presses very high, so they're used to, like, oh, we have like crazy depth to defend as a center back. So like you take guys who have to defend, like you take Upamecano, you take Konate, you take these guys who have like impossible defensive jobs in the Bundesliga and move them to the Premier League, and it works. I think you look at like Liga, where like Liga midfielders have similar physical tasks to the Premier League, and it translates okay. I think La Liga attackers translate pretty well to the Premier League broadly. So on, so on, so on, so on. Bundesliga midfielders are a bit of a black hole for me, where, I mean, if I just look like headline percentile numbers, shooting stuff is okay, receiving stuff is good, creation stuff is okay, dribbling stuff is good, progression is pretty good, but it's like very dribbling skewed, not passing skewed, which is interesting because like his shot creation is by passes, but his progression creation is by carrying, which is an interesting profile. And then the defending stuff is like not that high, mostly because they're one of the better teams. I just look at it and say, I don't know. And when I don't know, I don't want to pay a big number. And if I'm dealing with Dortmund, I'm paying a big number. This is my thing with the midfield stuff is like, we can talk a lot about whatever midfielders are interesting this summer or what we want to do, but I skew towards doing less. One, because you have a season with no Europe, so you can actually be pretty cute about how you like book things financially. But two, you but two, like I want to know. I want to know. I want to trade the time pressure for certainty. And so like Nemecha was great today. And like he's big, he's the right age, he's a little bit more experienced, like blah 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 blah, all of those things. Like, yeah, you're pretty about it. But like I don't know. I don't know. Thoughts on Ezekiel Palacios as well. Palacios is in the same deal. He's a little bit too old and he doesn't play enough though. That one I'm not down. But the performance as like metrically is better than Nemetra. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Like I would skew towards doing less and just move guys out, and then like I think the place that I would get to is like if I went to the squad, the whole big long squad, I would move the guys out that I can to get myself to the spot that like okay, this is financially where we need to be. And it's not sexy, but like move the guys out that we can to get to the spot where we need to be financially. And then I'd be like, Alonzo, make this work. And then wait 6 months and be like, okay, you can't make it work with this guy, this guy, this guy. This is where we're going to start and go from there. Because I think like one of the things that really bothered me, if you look about like from Poch to Maresca 2, is like at the end of the Poch season, okay? At the end of the Poch season, we were all like, okay, you probably need another midfielder because we just ran out of guys. You probably need to upgrade a goalkeeper. And you probably want another striker. Those were like the three things that we were like, yeah, we probably want another midfielder, we probably want another striker, we probably want a better goalkeeper. Center back, it was like, I don't know, Colwell's pretty good, like things are fine there. And like winger was like, all right, maybe we want to do something different at winger, but like Madueke might be interesting and Sterling might be interesting and blah 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 blah. And then you go into the Maresca season. It's like, okay, we're buying like fucking 9 attackers. None of them are strikers, by the way, except for Joao Felix is like a 10 and not really a striker. Renato Vega is like the guy you're getting. Jaden Sand, like it just like was really weird. Oh, the center back, by the way, it's Tosineta Rabayo. Like none of it made sense. The goalkeeper, another young goalkeeper who's not that good. He's the same level as the other two guys you already have. Like none of it really made sense. They just didn't address any of the holes. And then, by the way, like I know you wanted a center midfielder because you were like, yeah, we're really light in midfield. You get Dewsbury Hall, and we're getting rid of one of the midfielders you actually played. Bye, have fun. And it just was like, okay, sure. And then you go to the next season, we're like, all right, cool. Can we like, we have Santos in, like, maybe we can like play another midfielder, and like we probably got to figure out this winger thing. Here's like 5 wingers, and none of them are like actually the thing you really wanted. And now you get the 2 strikers that you should have got last summer, but also one of them's a bum. And like, it just all felt so scattershot all the time. There never felt like a clear plan of like, these guys are good. These guys are not good enough. We're going to sell the guys who aren't good enough, and then we're going to add the guys who are good, and we're going to go from there. And so when I look at this summer, I'm like, can we just like move out the guys you can move out and then keep the guys you have? And then let's just like take a year and figure out who's actually not good enough. And like play the games you play and figure it out from there. And then like at least next summer we go into it and all odds can be like, no, like this guy's not good enough. Um, Everybody's asking about Buati. I am I would describe myself as less Buati pilled than others. Um, yeah, not. I am not very Buati'd. But again, like I think the thing that I've said about Buati in the past that I think remains the case, right, is like I don't. Ooh, great header. Ooh, Van Dyke, what a header. You don't need another year to see most of these players are terrible, but they're not all terrible. They're not terrible. Some of them are good, and some of them might be really good. Let's see the replay of this. He's onside. It's a good delivery. Maybe a push, though. Maybe a push, though. He actually does so well with that header. From the players, who is good? From the players, most people will agree need to go who are good. I mean, Cucurella was like a useful player, and everybody was kind of fine with him going. Enzo Fernandez is also good, and most people are like, yeah, he should go. Like Panda says, we were crap, but our attack was 3rd or 4th best in the league, and the season was the best until the PE teacher nuked our underlyings, which is again quite true. Um, the thing on Buati that I've said before is like, I don't personally find him that great when I watch. Like, I thought he was just okay against Brazil. The point that I would make, if I was like, no, Kieran, you're an idiot, is that being just okay and staying on the field as a midfielder at 18 years old means you are almost certainly going to be very good. Like, I think the best comparison for someone like Buati is Yuri Tielemans, who, like, Yuri Tielemans never ended up being super, super good. But he has been playing senior ball for like 8 years and is still 26 or whatever, and is like just an objectively useful guy, right? Like Yeah, okay, he's 29 now, but like he's been playing since he's had a 15-year career and he's 29 or whatever. Um, so I don't know. Um, how many club sources need you to clearly say Shabby doesn't plan to play back three? I mean, I don't think he's going to play back three all the time, but I don't think anyone can say with any degree of confidence that he will or will not. We don't know. I would bet you he will play a three some of the time, but not all of the time. That's my guess. Um, would I take Gonzalez as the sitting defensive midfielder? Yeah, I think Nico Gonzalez is a very interesting player. I think like City, I think are a very fun, like a very fun one to look at and say, yeah, man, like some of these guys are real neat. Like you want to pop off any of these guys? Like you interested in moving a Doku or a Marmouche or a Gonzalez or a whatever. So I don't know. Buati is interesting though. Buati, I think the number is going to be really huge. Um, I think if I was Buati's agent, I would probably be like, I would probably be going to Dortmund or to Newcastle or to Villa or to like a sub elite good team and saying like, "Hey, come by me because in 2 seasons you'll sell me for 120 million to a big team and then I'll be a star." Rather than, "Oh, I'm going to go to Chelsea, United, City, Arsenal, Liverpool, whatever now and like maybe I don't play that much and maybe they fuck up my development." That's kind of where I'd be at. Like send me to a low end Champions League team. Like yeah, Dortmund, Villa, one of the Italian teams, something like that. You know what I mean? Pice tweet on Delap interest. Tottenham like Delap. Newcastle, Tottenham, Everton are the three teams interested at the moment. Delap wants to stay for his place. He will wait to see what happens at Chelsea first. Great. I'd want to stay at Chelsea too if my paycheck and performance is unattached. So we'll see. Uh, all right. What else? Give me. We'll go 10 more minutes. Hit me with what you want. If we sign an attacking left back as a replacement for Cucurella to play as the wing back from a 4-2-3-1, do you worry about Hatch's minute? What profile attacker do we get then? Um, I mean, I think the main thing is like you want to be flexible because like if you play a super attacking left back, you can play Hato as your left center back to get into a three, right? Um, Ooh, wow. Maybe off. Maybe off. I don't know if there was a touch. Maybe off. Let's see the replay. Let's see the replay. On in the first step. He's on. He's on. The left Van de Ven keeps him on. Okay, nice goal. Nice goal. Keon Best to break in the first team in 6 months. If Keon Best starts a match for Chelsea next season, I will I will do a stream from my phone in the hot tub at my apartment if Keon Best starts a match for Chelsea next season. Um, yeah, like Kima's definitely in my like long list of midfielder guys if I wanted to buy a midfielder that I'd take a look at. Because I think that the price is like very weird because there's the Madrid buyback clause, so like there's some oddities to that. But yeah, I don't know. I like the shape of him statistically is how I would describe it. Um, Colwill, right center back, right back, tucks in to form the three. Don't like the idea of James in a back three. I actually think James is right center back in a three is his best possible position. Like, I think you look at the Champions League run under Tuchel, and he was so good there. Um, yeah, I really like James right center back in the three. Like, if I'm purely if I am kind of shaping up the team in a three, I would love the like Hato, Colwill, James back three. Um, I would be pretty into that. And then you play like super aggressive wingers. Like I think you could get away with that against a lot of teams, and it would be really fun. Um, what happened to Kubo? Kubo's never that good. Somebody said, "Would I get Locatelli?" I mean, Locatelli, I think is just not that good. Like his progression stuff is awesome, but like Serie A, nobody presses. Like it's so weird. I just like I don't. Locatelli's nice, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Not for Chelsea. He doesn't feel. He doesn't feel very Premier League-y to me. Like he feels very stationary and like I don't know. The defending numbers are pretty good, and Juve sucked. I don't know. It would depend a lot on the number, I guess. But I don't know. He wouldn't be at the top of my list. Only concern with James, Hato, Levi, Reese back three seems undersized. I don't think it's. I think they're pretty good in the air. I think all three of them are decent in the air. So I think you can hack it. I think you can hack it. Oh, we got a Zolis mention in the chat for Pano. Um, James right center back gets dunked on at the back post. I mean, it didn't under Tuchel with a back three of like Thiago Silva and Malang Sarr. I mean, what was the? I mean, Chelsea's lineup in the Champions League final in 2021 was like Aspi, Silva, Rudiger. Like, it's not exactly a big group, dude. And I think even the rounds before that, James played right center back and like not exactly a big group in the air, and they were totally fine. Yeah, I don't know. Just dominate the ball, and who cares? Like I think I don't think you should overreact to the size thing. It's like if you can get it, great, but I don't know. Andrew Ford, there's an odd squad dynamic where the positions that need strengthening have the most bodies, e.g., center backs. It's hard to justify buying another center back when we have six, but also only Colwell is good enough. Yeah, that objectively is true. Like one of the things that I think Chelsea have done really poorly is like they're like, okay, we need two wingers or we need two center backs to work out. And they're like, okay, so we're going to buy four wingers and four center backs. And then hopefully two of them are good. But what happens then is like none of the four play enough for you to be confident whether they are or are not good enough. Like Chelsea need two left wingers. But like there's a pretty decent chance that one of Garnacho and Gittins are good enough, but like you have no idea. The center backs are like, again, you would love a center back to play, but you have Sar and you have Badishile and Chaloba and Disasi and Tosin and Josh that like you actually still have no idea how good Josh is. You still have no idea how good Sar is. You have no idea how good Anselmino is. You have no idea how good any of these guys are. Oh wow. Great goal. Great goal. So I don't know. Yeah, I just think you don't have you just don't have any certainty about about anybody. And like part of why you don't have that certainty is because you bought too many guys. And so now you're like, well, these guys aren't good enough, so I need to buy more guys. And then it's the same problem where like you have to move these guys for less money and book losses on them. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Even like Yildiz. Like just fully mentions Yildiz. Bro, I love Yildiz. When you're building your idea of players who you think could be Chelsea level, are you able to do that completely from the statistical profile with knowledge of the team style plus league strength? I mean, I like to watch because like there's lots of like things in the data that you want to expand upon with video, right? Like I think like if I could only choose one, data or video, I'm choosing data. But I think like anyone worth their salt doing anything is doing both. So yeah, I think like you want both. But I think you could build a pretty good squad of just from the data if you're really good at it. Oh wow, Gakpo. Oh wow. Um Andrew Ford, we're almost at the point with the inflated squad size where it's unmanageable. We need to do an insane number of outgoings this summer. Yeah, I think it is legitimately like almost 30 players. Like if you look at if you like let's go to the squad next season squads, all the returning loanies and new buys, okay? Goalkeepers, you're carrying 5. At least 2 need to go. At least 2 need to go, whether that's sales or loans. Okay, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 center backs. You can probably only carry 4 if you're playing a back 4, 5 if you're playing a back 5. So 3 or 4. So you're up to 5 players need to go. Cucurella's already gone. That's 6. Wiley also should go. That's 7. Right backs, you have 3. You probably don't have to move any of them. But if you keep Josh, you have to move another center back. So we're at 8. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 midfielders. Probably need to move 1, but you can get away with moving none. And then attackers, you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 non-striker attackers. You can probably only carry 4 because of the league. So like maybe 5. So like you're moving another 4. So we're at 12. And then strikers, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you can only carry 3, so another 4. So you're at 16 just from the first team. That doesn't even include all the guys who are like on the edge of the first team who went on loan, who actually should be included in this list. Like that's a huge number of players. You have to move 16 before you bring anyone in. So it's hard, man. It's really, really, really hard. Never forget when we watched Prime Tosin Adara Maldini. Highlights on stream. What position is easiest to scout using data? Striker. If you sort a list of strikers by XG and filter for more than 3 shots a game, it's all good players. You almost can't go wrong. Like here. Let's see if I can do a thing. Let's go forwards. Let's sort by vape because I like vape. I'll do over 900 minutes. And just go through who do I see, I need more players on my list. Like, it's all good players, bro. Receiving bait. Receiving is my favorite cheat code because you can just find strikers who get consistently in good positions. Like, yeah, this is a list of like lots of good guys. Like, sure. If I had just data, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go get Esposito. Let me go get Esposito. He's sick. Sure, why not? If it goes wrong, it's not my fault. Penders needs a loan too. It's such a dumb idea to make him number one next season. And if he's not number one, then he still needs to go on loan. Think of how many seasons Courtois spent on loan before joining us. And Pano said, have we spoken about the goalkeepers yet? Interesting situation. So I think on the goalkeepers, a couple things. So I think one, I'm pretty curious if this has I wonder if this has goalkeepers in it. It doesn't. See, everybody hates goalkeepers. So on the goalie situation, I personally would not make Penders the number one yet. I think you would love to get him another season on loan, preferably at somewhere where like the pressure is a little bit higher than Strasbourg. Like Strasbourg, whatever, historic club, like Conference League run, so on, so on, so on. But like it doesn't feel like there's really any pressure there for the players. I would love to get Penders alone in like Germany or in the Premier League or whatever, but somewhere or the top end of the championship maybe, but like somewhere where he's going to play another 40 games and it's going to be very difficult for him. And there's going to be a lot of pressure. Those are like the main things that I want. However, I think Pender showed enough on loan that if the club find moves for Jorgensen or for Sanchez or for whatever, that they're like, we're going to bring him in and he's going to be the starter, I'm not that mad at it. However, I personally would not do that. I would loan him to like a Bundesliga, like a Europa League Bundesliga team or a Europa League Serie A team or yeah, like something like that. I would definitely use an international, or if I could get a Premier League loan, Tim. Like if I could get a Premier League loan where like he's going to be the guy, I'd be pretty about it. And go from there. But I think in terms of the rest of the goalkeeper situation, like I think you keep Sanchez as your starter and you sell Jorgensen. Like I think Sanchez had a good year last year. Like that's super worth keeping. And you sell Jorgensen and you hope you get as close to what you paid for it and you move on. So whatever. Do I think Fuzzbrain? Do I think clubs won't do business with us since they know how in the hole we are? No, because international teams will, and because all the other Premier League teams are similarly in the hole. The other thing is like I don't think Chelsea are that in the hole. Like Chelsea were at 86% revenue to wages. They have to get below, or I think 81% maybe. But they have to get below that for European competition. But for the Premier League, they're totally fine. Like they're not good save Zion Suzuki, but they're fine for the Premier League. So they're going to be fine next year. And then as long as they don't have a crazy year this year, they'll be fine for UEFA the year after that. So I don't think they're really in huge doubt. Like there's a lot of semi-financial Twitter accounts that are like really certain that Chelsea are crazy in the weeds. They also did a thing like somebody has an app that's like the real wages, and they back calculated it from like, oh, here's what like Capology's wages are, but here's what Chelsea's wages are in the official reports. But like they don't include the fact that like Chelsea's non-playing staff headcount went up by like 600 people last year, and that's a huge amount of wages that count in the wage spending in the account. So it's like I don't know. I like because they have stuff like yeah, Garnacho's making 250K a week, which like he is not. I'm certain of that. Um, so make of that what you will. Um, it is what it is. Penders parries way too many shots and dangerous, prone to buzzer moments on the ball. At least another season unknown. Yeah, his hands definitely need some work. Definitely need some work. Like he's definitely not the finished article, but he's done enough, and next season is low enough stakes that like it's not the craziest decision in the world. Um, you know what I mean? So we'll see. Um, if we find a move for Fafana, what center back archetype would you replace him with? Um, I would go look at Upamecano. I would go look at Upamecano and be like, I want that guy. I want a guy who is like a very good passer and can run. Um, and um, who can run and can pass and can head the ball. Those are like my three things. People are really about Ordonez at Club Brugge, who like maybe I don't know. He's like the right profile for them, but I think they'll probably go older. Um, like Konate was probably the one, but after he wanted big money, like I don't think that's happening. Um, Top Dog says, "How is it low stakes when the ownership definitely can't afford another season out of Champions League?" I mean, I think they can. I mean, they have lost significantly more money on shirt sponsorships than they have on missing Champions League. Like they've bungled commercial deals bigger than the Champions League rights, like basically every season. Like it's at some this is the thing that I never really get is like at some point they could just stop spending huge amounts of money on insane things and like all of their financial problems are solved. Like get a regular shirt sponsor, don't buy 28 players this summer, sell 15 and you book like a $400 million profit this summer. And you're like, yeah, all right, everything's fine. Like the books are so loaded with players and assets and whatever. Um, I don't know. Panna said, "Kier, we're still waiting for this damn front of shirt sponsor." Yeah, I'll just say now. I had heard that this shirt sponsor was going to be the guys who make like USD stablecoin for crypto, like these guys. I think that's what they're called. Um, yeah, I'd heard that this was going to be the shirt sponsor for next year. So we'll see. I heard this like 2 months ago though, so if it doesn't happen, don't blame me. But I heard it was going to be these guys, and it was going to be a lot of money. So make of it what you will. Um, but that date is old enough now that I don't care about saying that out loud. So it is what it is. We'll see. But I think like it's bad if they miss Champions League. But I think like I don't know. Nothing they could do is like actually a problem financially. They'll just sell more players. So I don't know. I think the number of players we actually want to sell who we can get easily get book value for is fewer than you would like. There just aren't many buyers at the fees we pay. No, I'm not saying that like we could sell players we don't want and be in an amazing spot financially. But like there are lots of good players at Chelsea that you could make money on. You would hurt your team's ability to be good. Like if I think Dimitri had like the 2 by 2 grid of like players you want to sell versus players who are good, right? So you have players who are bad and you don't want to sell them. Well, there's not really anybody there because if they're bad, you want to sell them. But there are players who are good and you don't want to sell. There are players who are good and you do want to sell, and there are players who are bad that you do want to sell. Like that's kind of the three spots. Chelsea have a lot of players who are bad and you want to sell, but they also have a lot of players who are good and you don't want to sell. But if push came to shove, like it would be very easy for you to be like, yeah, Cole Palmer will sell you for 120 million or whatever it is. Like you would get suitors at that number. Um, João Pedro, you could move for profit. Jackson, you can move for profit. Caicedo and Enzo, you can move and clear a huge amount of future money off of the books and book a profit now. Colwill, you could move for a huge number. Um, like if I just like went through the whole squad, right? Like could move for profit, could move for book profit, could move maybe not for profit. Loss is pure profit, pure profit, pure profit, a loss, a profit, probably even or a loss, even or a loss, even or a loss. You just made 30 million on Cucurella from an accounting perspective. You could profit, a loss, who knows? Pure profit, you'd profit, pure profit, you'd make a book profit, loss, maybe big profit, loss, mid, pure profit. Like you can go through all of them. We can just go through, but like they would be fine if push came to shove. The team wouldn't be good, but they'd be fine. Um, the club's gonna have to be okay with selling players for less than they'd probably like. I mean, yeah, that's the problem when you buy too many players that aren't that good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm like, I think they're. I think it'll be fine. I'm not super concerned like about the death of the club or anything financially. I also think like every single team in Europe has like pretty flagrantly broken the financial rules every year forever, like whether it's Chelsea or PSG or Inter, and like the punishments have always had basically no teeth. Um, like even if you look at the new Premier League PSR, like there's no punishment until you go over 100% wages to revenue, and Chelsea are at low 80s, and their wage bill is going to get smaller this year because there's no Champions League. So like I don't see how. I don't know. I don't see how they can really hurt themselves humongously financially. Um, Winning Evil says thoughts on the stadium. There were some interesting articles on it recently. The reality with the stadium is like as much as they want to build one, they will never be able to build one where they want to in London because the investment climate will not be the way it was for 20 years under Abramovich for a long time. The cost to borrow money to do a big infrastructure project like that was basically zero under all of Abramovich's tenure. The interest rate for projects was like 0.9%. That will not happen anytime soon. The cost of real estate in London has exploded. People have no interest in the team playing in Twickenham or whatever while you do it, or Wembley or whatever. So you like shit the bed on not getting whatever the one down the street from Stamford Bridge is called, Earl's Court, done. Which is like, by the way, the whole point some of the directors were on there were to get Earl's Court done, and they didn't. So like, there's nothing you can do now. You're not like you are hard stuck in the stadium you are. And even on top of that, the cost to do it at Stamford Bridge, it would not even be worth it financially. Like the return on investment, the payback period would be like 30 years. Like it doesn't even make sense. So until something changes, you just leave it. And it is what it is. And you try and monetize the club in other ways other than match day. So that's what I think on the stadium. As much as they would like to, I just think it's not a viable project. Well, I was going to call it there, but we'll just wait till the end of this game and then we'll end it there. So, whatever questions you have 7 minutes plus added time to get them in. Daniel, thoughts on integrating Emanalo and Antwi into Alonso's squad? If they had Conference League, I think it's much more likely. I think given only one game a week, I think it's unlikely. I would like to see both. Emanalo, I'm fine with playing U21s. Emanalo is just so weird. It's such a weird physical profile because he's just so unathletic. Like he's so slow that I think he's an awkward fit for senior ball. Whereas Antwi, like I think you could go loan him into the football league, and because he's such an athlete, it would be very easy to play him. Whereas Emanalo like has to play for someone who has the ball. So like I wouldn't be shocked if Emanalo gets like a worse loan than you think for his level. Like I think Emanalo could play like low end championship, maybe middle of the championship right now, but I bet you he goes like top end League One, or maybe even top end League Two to like just ball out and like make sure he has room to like perform and then go from there. I also wouldn't be surprised if Emanalo gets the European loan. Thoughts on Maza as a prospect? Presuming this is Ibrahim Maza, the Leverkusen guy. Not interested. Not interested. He's too tenny, and like I have no interest in tens from the Bundesliga. Not even a little bit. Rate this window: Hall, Barcolo, Lacroix, and Mainan/Pickford. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 window. Mainan's very good. I think I definitely got that one wrong. I would have pulled the trigger on it last summer, knowing what I know now. Lacroix, I don't love the deal for, but he's a good and useful player. Probably better in a 3 than a 4. Definitely better in a 3 than a 4, but like good player. Hall, top choice at left back. Barcola, top choice at winger. Like, yeah, that's awesome. I think that window's unrealistic, but yeah, 10 out of 10. What about the women's team stadium info? Mostly Stamford Bridge, but a new venue for Europe. So yeah, so on the women's side, the women can't play at Kings Meadow because for European games, because it doesn't meet UEFA standards for Champions League. So they had to play at Stamford Bridge. The problem with playing the European games at Stamford Bridge is that they have seen on very poor attendance for most of the midweek Champions League games. Against smaller teams and not the knockout games that are on the weekend. And so they would play like home games with like 1,500 people at Stamford Bridge, which was like not very cost effective. So they're going to play at Cherry Red Records, which is Wimbledon Stadium. That was one of the stadiums I went to on my last trip. I had a blast. It's an unreal stadium. I am somewhat confused how that's an allowed stadium for the Champions League, but Kings Meadow isn't. I assume there's probably something about like safe standing or something like that that's involved, because I think there are some terraces at Kings Meadow, but it's a really nice ground and it's like in a good spot, which is cool. I really liked it. I just like wish they did a better job of getting people to go. But the club wasn't terribly well run commercially before this ownership group, so like obviously they can't do that. Enzo leaves this summer with Cuckoo sometime later. Chelsea don't get replacements. How much does that affect the team's level and where would we finish? I would adjust them down from like As of tomorrow, I would pick Chelsea to come top four, probably fourth. Um, but I would, if you lost Cucurella and Enzo and didn't replace them at all, I'd probably adjust them down to like fifth, maybe sixth. I think that's a big loss. Enzo especially is a big loss. Oh wow, great header! Wow, he's done so well to like generate power on that on an outswinger. That's so hard. Jesus. Wow, yeah, he's done very well with that. I want to see a replay of this. That's quite amusing. Says I always found Kingsman a nightmare to get to. Yeah, I haven't been, but I've heard it's quite far. Let's see this. Boom. Great little screen on Van Dyke to like make it awkward for him to get there. Oh, he's like headed off the guy's head. Little double header. Verbruggen more like Verpugen. Yeah, that's great. I like that. It's very fun. I've been doing a lot more work with like our Japanese team at work, and I've started just like hitting them with like random historic Japanese players. So like I'll just like we'll be chatting about the World Cup or whatever. I'll be like, man, Keisuke Honda was a problem, and they go crazy. They love it. And the best one so far was I hit him with the Rio Miechi. They loved it. There's nothing more fun with connecting someone from a different culture by just like naming guys from their team. Like I remember talking to a Nigerian cab driver in Chicago about JJ Okocha, and he was like, and I brought up Celestine Babayaro, and he was like, "How do you know who Celestine Babayaro is?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a Chelsea fan." Blah blah blah. But it was like so joyous to talk about Celestine Babayaro. Yeah, just guys naming dudes is what Discord Football says. Is so accurate. It's so accurate. Let's see. This is ridiculous, but early hot takes for Chelsea the league next season. Um, Chelsea can win the league with a 90th percentile season. Like it doesn't even have to be insane. Like if they just play really well because they play once a week, they could win the league. They won't. They won't, but they could. They could. Um, like it's unlikely, but not like that unlikely. Um, the what other Chelsea hot takes? João Pedro will decline. He'll have like a much worse season, I think, than he did last year. What else is a hot take? What else is a hot take? I would have said like someone who is a locked in pen starter will be sold this summer, but Cucurella got sold, so that's already happened. So I don't know. Um, maybe another one. I don't know. I think that's where I'm at. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have many super flaming hot takes. Um, what's the highest and lowest I've ever felt while watching Canada's men's team? Lowest is obviously San Pedro Sula, where they lost 8-1 to qualify for the World Cup. But another one, I can't remember what year it was. This is another really terrible one. Is like, I think it was for 2018. But like Canada had a pretty good chance to qualify, and they were playing Mexico in Vancouver. And I think it was no, maybe it was 3-0. Yeah, it was this game, I think, because I think this game is in Vancouver. I think it was this game. Let me check. I think it was this game. Yeah. I went at it was this was to qualify for 2018, and it was like if Canada got a result, they could make the hex, and like they had a chance to qualify if they made the hex, and so on, so on, so on. And it was like a real moment. And I took me and all my friends went out to Boston Pizza to watch, and no, and they wouldn't even switch it on a main screen, so we were on some like shitty side screen to watch it. And I was like, guys, we have a chance to go to the World Cup if we win this, and we got fucking drubbed. And I was like, I just hate my life so much. And then the highest, I think, qualifying for the World Cup was sick. I think the Davies goal at the World Cup was like a pretty high moment. Um, the women winning the gold medal. You said men's, I think, though. The women winning the gold medal was hype. But yeah, qualifying for the World Cup, like the Jamaica game and the goal in Qatar were pretty elite. And then the Laren one is up there. Um, do I rate Jesse Marsh? He's like a fine coach. He's kind of gimmicky and does things I don't like, but he's good. What are my thoughts on Tottenham's business and De Zerbi being a success? I mean, I think De Zerbi. I think they're like largely pointed in the right direction with their recruitment because they're just like, we have no guys who can pass. Can we get more guys who can pass? And so they got Senesi and Van Hecke, and they're like, yeah, these guys can pass, and that works for me. Like I'm like, all right, cool. Like you can play Senesi and Romero, or you can play Van Hecke and Van de Ven, and you get one runner and one passer all the time. And I think that makes sense. And I think De Zerbi's a good coach. I think the thing with De Zerbi is just like how long can you go before he pisses everyone off? So I don't know. What academy player is most likely to integrate into the first team and play real minutes? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like Josh probably doesn't count. Josh probably doesn't count. Um, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. Again, this goes back to the thing I said earlier about like Alonso's been the manager for 7 weeks or whatever, and I have no idea how we're gonna play. It's like ask me 1 week into preseason, and I'll have an answer for you. Jackson scores 20 Premier League goals. I don't think that high, but I think like Jackson and João Pedro together will score like 25 goals, but it'll be like 15 and 10. Jackson, João Pedro, something like that. That would be my bet. We'll see. Um, we'll see. I don't know what's crazier: Spurs offering 80 million for Van Hecke or Brighton turning it down at best a 30 million player. There's no way that's real, right? There's no way that that's what they offered. I'd be shocked. Anywho, that game is now over, so I'm gonna call it a day. Um, I don't know when I'll stream again. If Chelsea do a big thing, maybe I'll stream then. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna be away for the next couple of weeks, traveling and doing whatever because it's summer. But when preseason starts again, we'll chitty chat and go from there. Um, but yeah, this has been fun. Thanks everybody for jumping on. As always, enjoy the soccer.